Hey everyone, Jordan Spangenburg here for ACTE 633. For my research paper here, I did gender differences as my online learning difference, and I used this research article to help look at how males and females respond to different things as we post them online. So first of all, the main question here that the author looked at was, how do males and females approach online courses? And the reason I felt this is important is we know in our face-to-face classroom, students have different ways of completing their coursework, and they have different learning styles that we can notice and see when we see them every day on a face-to-face basis. But in an online structure, we have to realize that there's other learning differences that we need to take into account besides this. So those would be things such as language barriers and ethnicity, and then also gender. And so again, in our face-to-face classrooms, when we see these differences, we can approach them in ways to help kind of bridge that gap, whether it be learning disabilities or just students that are high energy, but we don't always get to see that in a in an online structure. So we do need to consider gender when we're putting together our online course, and consider how males and females are going to approach the coursework that we set differently. So first of all, the method for this research. So this was a high school data collection here. So there was 802 high school students, and they were enrolled in 14 different online courses. And just the breakdown here, 492 of those students were females, 310 of them were males. The learning management system was Desire to Learn, and the data that was collected was over a period of 32 weeks. So it was a good amount of data that was able to be collected by the research here. Couple other things to note here. All of the courses were asynchronous. The work the students were expected to complete included readings, writing papers, and completing discussions, as well as group projects. And then the online discussion posts were separated into individual initial posts and then response posts as well. So the results, the students in this study then, they were graded on a scale of 1 to 7. And just a couple of general things that the researchers found. So students averaged about 4 hours per week, logged in and viewed 8 posts, and they averaged about half a post written and responded to about 4/10 of a post. And the research also found that females were more active than males in terms of days and logins per week, but not necessarily in terms of time spent. So when you break it down by gender, the researchers found that females viewed an average of 300 posts. They wrote 15 posts and responded to 15 posts, while their males counterparts averaged 241 posts viewed, 12 written posts, and 12 responses to posts. The results of this research did show that females earned a higher grade on average than males, but the researchers also noted that even when males and females earned the same score, females still viewed more posts, wrote more posts, and responded to more posts than males did. Some future research here that the paper pointed out then, so a couple of things. So first of all, the research wanted to consider the depth of content in the posts of females, or were they just trying to be more social? So that's one thing the researchers wanted to look into. Were they using it more of just a social, way of getting through an online course, or were they actually posting in deep content that could be really useful for the course in general? For males, the researchers wanted to look more into their posts and try to find if they were just more efficient than females, or did they put more effort into other parts of the course that would have more of an impact on their grade than writing and responding to posts. And the final thing here, the researchers also wanted to continue to investigate how males and females go through a course and how much time they spend on each of those activities. So the conclusion is justified. So after going through this, a couple of things that I pulled out. So I did say educators need to learn and understand that students are going to respond to certain assignments differently in an online setting. And like I said earlier, that's the same exact thing that we see in our face-to-face class as well, and that our students are just going to respond differently to the different assignments that we have created for them. And that's why we're always encouraged to differentiate and just meet the needs of all of our learners and try to bring in different things into our classroom. So with our online classrooms, it's the same idea here. Second thing, it's important that standards are set the same for all students, but at the same time allowing students to show their individual differences in their work. So again, for this one, I think we as teachers, we need to make sure we're holding all of our students to the same high standards, but ways that we have them showing their mastery of content, I think we need to make sure that we're differentiating even in our online classes. So some applications. The study mainly focused on the results that showed females wrote and responded more than males. So a couple of things we can consider then. There's other technology pieces that we can use to allow students to express their writings in different ways, such as the use of Canva. So maybe it was the fact that, males just don't like to write as much as females. So giving them different ways that they can be responding to the posts. Also, some other tech options for students to express themselves would be another one, Flip. So again, bringing that verbal piece into it, so allowing students to verbalize their responses and thoughts rather than writing them down. Finally, some connections we can make here to the different domains. So first of all, in domain 1, I pull out flexible and personalized learning environments as one of the standards. We need to make sure that we're modeling a growth orientation towards learning in self and others. So again, making that learning piece flexible, allowing students to personalize it to something that more suits their strength, and using that when they are responding or posting or completing different assignments in the online classroom. In the second domain, looking objectively at all results, both positive and negative, and help others to do the same. So again, looking at the different things, looking at the different ways that students are completing work and turning assignments in, and pulling out feedback to the group as a whole, both positive and negative feedback, always helping our students improve on their work. And then helping the students in the class to kind of view it through this lens as well, and allowing them to do some peer critiques and just helping their classmates get better as a whole in an online classroom. And finally, from domain 3, continually take note of what is or is not working. Again, I think this is best practice for all educators. If there is something not working, especially in your online classroom, then get rid of it and do something else. So if you're noticing consistently on a course-to-course basis or year-to-year basis, or however long the online course has been set up for you, and it's getting the same results over and over again, and they're not great results, then teachers need to go back in and change it. You can't always just assume that it's students not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but maybe the course or the assignment itself isn't set up in a way that students are going to succeed. So making sure we as educators go back and make the changes and listen to the feedback that we're getting from our classes on a course-to-course and year-to-year basis, and then making those changes appropriately. So overall, that's what the research focused on, the individual learning differences as it relates to gender, and just helping males and females be successful in the online classroom.